So hello and welcome to this Adobe Animate tutorial. In this video we are going to write JavaScript and I'm going to show you like arrays and how you can manipulate arrays with the push, with the pop, with the shift and unshift. So basically how you can add or remove elements from the array. And I am going to show you with some only console.logs. Then I am going to show you this with some kind of shapes and so on. So this is just a very silly example where I click on the shapes and they are going to change the rotation and the alpha and so on. But that's not the point of this tutorial. The point of this tutorial is like arrays and how you can add elements or remove elements from the array. And we are also going to have some for loops. We are going to be adding elements from the library and so on. But yeah, this is what we are going to be doing, and right now we can start. Alright, so right now I'm in the Adobe Animate and I'm going to choose any width and height. So for example, I will go with 500 by 500. I want this to be HTML5 canvas. Frame rate is fine as it is, and I'm just going to click create. Now I am in the window workspace essentials, but you can choose anything, and yeah, and I am going to go to the layer 1 and I am going to double click on this and I am going to call this to be code. That's optional, but yeah. And now we are going to write the code. So I am going to go to the first frame. I am going to right click and I'm going to choose actions or F9, and this is going to open me this text editor. You can adjust this as you want, but you probably know, but yeah. And I am going to zoom in with the control or command and mouse wheel so you can see this a little bit better. So now I am going to create some kind of variable which is going to be array, and we have two options. We can go with the let for the variables, or we can go with const. For this tutorial I will go with let. Both are going to work for the arrays. So I'm going to go let, and I'm going to start with something very simple like let names, for example, is going to be equal to an empty array like so. And now if I'm going to, for example, console.log the names, so I'm going to go console.log and we are going to console.log names, and I will go with Control Enter or Command Enter to see this in the browser. We are going to have a blank space, a blank page, because we have no graphics. But if I go with F12, or I will go right click and I will go with inspect and I will go to the console, I am going to have an array which is going to be like an empty array. And you can see that the length of the array is going to be 0. This error, if I refresh this, is going to disappear. So yeah, yeah, this is what we are going to get. And I can go with the names.length, for example, and right now we are going to have the 0 because the length of the array is going to be 0. If I'm going to put some kind of names in here, so for example, if I go with the quotation marks for the string, and I'm going to type, for example, Martin, and then I will go with comma, and I will go with maybe Jane, like so. Right now, if I am going to console.log names.length, we are going to have the length of 2 because we have 2 items. We have Martin and we have Jane. So if I go with Control Enter, we are going to have number 2. And if I am not going to console.log the names.length, but I am just going to console.log the names, then we are going to have array which is going to have 2 items, and if I'm going to open this, I'm going to have a Martin and I'm going to have Jane, like so. Now we have this like push, pop, shift, unshift to add or remove things from the array. First of all, I'm going to show you this with these names examples, and then I'm going to show you this with some kind of shapes and something clickable in Adobe Animate. So now, for example, if I would like to add some name to the end of the array, what I can do is let me comment out this console.log for the moment. So I am just going to have an array, let the names is Martin and Jane, and I am going to type that names dot push, and for example we are going to push Victor, like so. And I don't know if these names are spelled like this in English, but yeah. So right now I'm going to type names.push Victor, and right now if I am going to console.log names, like so. So I'm going to console.log names. I'm going to have the array, which is going to be Martin, which is going to be Jane, and which is going to be Victor. So if I go with Control Enter, Command Enter, and I will go with F12, right now I'm going to have Martin, I'm going to have Jane, and I'm going to have a Victor, and the length of the array is going to be 3. Okay, you can access, let me for the moment, comment out these names.push Victor, and I'm going to comment out this console.log names. So I'm going to have only let names, and I'm going to have Martin and Jane, and I can access the first element with the index 0 and the second element with the index 1. So if I'm going to type console.log names of 0, so I'm going to type console.log names and brackets and 0, I'm going to console.log Martin, like so. And if I'm going to do this with the number 1, it's going to be Jane, so I'm going to go console.log names 1, and that's going to be Jane. And if I'm going to try to go with number 2, like so, this is going to be undefined because there is nothing defined in there, like so. But there is little like issue. I am not really sure why the animate is doing this like so. But let me uncomment this name.push Victor. Let me uncomment this console.log names, and let me uncomment this one. So I'm going to have let names is going to be equal to Martin and Jane. Then I'm going to console.log names, which should be like only Martin and Jane. And then I'm going to push the Victor, and I'm going to console.log names, and this should be like Martin, Jane, and Victor. But if I go with Control Enter, the both console.logs are going to have Martin, Jane, and Victor. Okay, I don't know why Adobe Animate display this like so, but the thing is that right now, if I would go in here and I'm going to console.log names.length, the length of the names in here is going to be 2 because we have only 2 items. And if I'm going to console.log names.length in here, it's going to have 3 items. So if I go with Control Enter, we are going to have 2 items, and then we are going to have 3 items. So I don't know why it is displaying this like so, but yeah, and I can just show you. So you can see this. Let me one more time leave this like so. So we are going to console.log names, and we are going to console.log names. But right now I am going to try to console.log names number 2, which doesn't exist in here. So it's going to be undefined. And then later on, when we are going to push the Victor, right now we are going to have something on the number 2 because Victor is going to be, I will just put it like so, it's going to be in here. So right now we are going to have a Victor. So this console.log, even though the names is going to show Martin, Jane, and Victor, the Victor is not going to be yet in here. And in this case, when we push this, it is going to be in there. So you will see that we are going to have an undefined. We are going to have array number 3, but it's undefined, and then we are going to have a Victor. So I don't know why it is displaying like so when you are like in JavaScript with HTML and CSS. It's not displaying this like so, but it doesn't change the behavior of the array. Before of the push, we have only Martin and Jane, and after the push, we are going to have the Victor. Okay, so basically this is the push. We are going to be adding to the end of the array. Let me get rid of this, and let me get rid of this. So right now, if I am going to have names push Victor, we are going to add the Victor, and I can continue. So I can duplicate this, and for example, I am going to go with Mary, I don't know. And right now, if I am going to one more time console.log names, we are going to have Victor, and after the Victor we are going to have the Mary. So yeah, I will go with Control Enter, and we are going to have array of 4 elements: Martin, Jane, Victor, and Mary. You can also push more things in the one line. So for example, I can for the moment comment out this one, comment out this one, and I am going to put it like so, that I am going to go names.push, and I'm going to push Victor, and I will go with comma, and I'm going to push also Mary, like so. So I'm going to names.push Victor and Mary, and right now it is going to put me this like so. So it's like if I would copy this and paste this, it is going to put me this like so to the end of the array. So if I'm going to have first Victor and then Mary, then it is going to put me first Victor and then Mary. If I would have first Mary and then Victor, it would put me like Mary and then Victor. Okay, so I will delete it from here, and I'm going to put it like so. So name.push, we can have one item, we can have two items, we can push like 10 items in the same time, but yeah, this is what we are going to have. We are going to have Victor and Mary, and if I would change the order, but I do not need to show you, but I can I can cut this and I can put this like so. Right now we are going to have the Mary and the Victor like so. So yeah. Now we have other things. We can delete something from the array. So for example, right now if I would like to get rid of the last item, I can go very simply with names.pop. So I am going to type names.pop like so, and I am going to have this like so. And right now, one more time, this console.log names is going to console.log it even before of that, but yeah. But the thing is, one more time, if I'm going to console.log the length, so I'm going to console.log names.length like so. In here this is going to be 4, and after the pop it's going to be only 3. And I can also console.log just names, and we are going to get rid of the Victor like so. So hopefully this makes sense. We had 4 length, now we have length number 3, and we are not going to have the Victor. So yeah, this is like push is going to add to the end of the array, pop is going to delete at the end of the array. Then we have shift, and shift is going to just delete at the beginning of the array. So if I am going to go names.shift, I am going to delete the Martin, because Martin is at the beginning. So I will go with Control Enter, and right now we are going to have the same thing. We had 4 elements, right now we have 3 elements, and we are not going to have the Martin, but we are going to have Jane, Mary, and Victor. And the last thing is that we can add the beginning of the array, and it's going to be unshift. This shift and unshift, it's like not really clear sometimes, and you can mess it up, but you use like push and pop more often than the shift and unshift. I don't know why it is like so, but when we have names.unshift, with the unshift we are going to add to the beginning of the array. So for example, I am going to add some name, and that's going to be, for example, Monica. And right now we are going to have the Monica and at the beginning of the array. So we had 4, we have unshifted Monica, so right now we have 5, and Monica is going to be at the beginning. And the same thing, we can push more elements, or we can unshift more elements with the pop and shift. When you are removing, you can do only one at a time. You can put it in the loops, so you can pop more of them. But with the push and unshift, you can go with more of them. And for example, if I go with unshift Monica, and I go, for example, I don't know, Andrea, like so, it is going to put me this like so. So it's like it would copy this and it would paste it to the beginning of the array. So one more time, if I would have the Andrea first and then Monica, then I would have Andrea and Monica and so on. But in here I would have to have comma. But yeah, so if I'm going to go with names.unshift Monica and Andrea, at the beginning of the array we are going to have Monica, Andrea, then we are going to have Martin and Jane, that's what we had, and then we have Mary and Victor, because that's what we have pushed. Okay, so I think that enough for these examples with the names, and right now we are going to do something a little bit more visual, and we are going to focus on the push. Okay, so I am going to create rectangle tool, I am going to, I just went to the rectangle tool like so, and I'm going to get rid of the stroke, and I'm going to choose some blue fill color like so, and with the shift I am just going to create a shape like so, and yeah, and now I will have to convert this to the symbol to be able to access this with the JavaScript. So I am going to click on this. I will go to the modify, but before of that I realized one thing, that wouldn't be that issue, but I am going to delete this, and I am actually going to create a new layer, because I would like to have my code layer to be like only the code, and the layer 2 I can put the below like so. And the code layer I can actually lock, so right now I am not going to be able to draw something on the code layer. If you log your code layer, you are still be able to write the code, you are still going to be able to access it and so on. So it's just going to log this, so we are not going to draw anything. But yeah, I will go to my layer 2, you can rename this, and I am going to create the shape like so. And I'm going to convert it to the symbol. So I will go to the modify, convert to symbol, and I'm going to, for example, call this to be blue. That really doesn't matter. I want this to be a movie clip, and the registration point right now doesn't really matter. So I'm going to put it as it is. You can have this in here, and you can have this in here. Later on, we are going to be doing a little bit with the registration point, but for now, it's not going to change anything. And I'm going to click OK. And right now I'm going to duplicate this, so I'm going to hold Alt or Option and also Shift to stay on the same line, and I'm going to duplicate this like so. And right now, one more time, I'm going to select all of them, and I'm going to duplicate them. Now I will have to put an instance names. So this is going to be blue1. These are the names by which we are going to be targeting this with the JavaScript. So yeah, and this is going to be number 3 and so on. You can call it only B1, B2 and so on, but I will go like this. This is going to be number 4. This is going to be number 5, and this is going to be the last one. So this is going to be blue number 6, and yeah. Now I can go back to my code like so, and I can create an array. So I can type let. Usually I would go with the const for the arrays, but yeah, I can go with let. So let my blues, for example, is going to be equal, and I'm going to create an array, and I'm going to type that this dot blue1. This refers like to this timeline. So yeah, this blue1, and right now with the comma, this number blue2, number 3, and so on. So we are going to put them like so. I went to the separated line, that's fine, if we are going to have like the parentheses correctly like so. And the space, it really doesn't matter. You can have as much space in here as you want. And at the end, you do not want to have a comma. So yeah, so basically I have this blue1, comma, this blue2, comma, and so on. And yeah, so right now I am going to have an array which I called my blues, and my blues is going to contain these shapes. So for example, right now I can go ahead and I can console.log my blues.length. So I'm going to go console.log my blues.length like so, Control Enter, and this is going to have the 6 items. Or I can just console.log this without the length. So I'm just going to console.log the array, Control Enter, and I'm going to have an array of 6 elements, and it is going to have like library blue, and so on. Now what I could do is I can change some of them. So for example, I can go with I can get rid of this console.log, and I can type my blues 0, because arrays are 0 based. So this has index 0. So my blues 0 dot alpha is going to be equal, for example, to 0.5. And right now we are going to have the first one, which is going to have the alpha, which is opacity 0.5, which means like 50%. The one would be 100%, 0 is 0%, and yeah. And I can right now go with the number 1, which is going to be the second one, and so on. Now what I could do is for the moment I can comment out all of this. Later on we are going to reuse this, but I just commented this out with slash and asterisk and slash. And what I could do is I can create an array. So I'm going to type let my blues is going to be equal to an empty array. Okay, and then if I try, for example, right now my blues 0 dot alpha to be equal to be 0.5, I am going to get an error because I have nothing on the index 0. So if I would console.log my blues, I can show you I can show you that before of this. If I am going to right now console.log my blues 0, like so. So in the console.log, in the parentheses, I'm going to have my blues 0. I'm going to go with Control Enter, and I'm going to have undefined because we have nothing defined in there. And I will get rid of that. And then if I go with my blues 0, alpha is going to be 0.5. We are going to get an error because there is going to be cannot set properties of undefined. Okay, we cannot set the alpha of something which is not defined basically. But what I could do right now is I can type that my blues dot push, and we are going to push in here this dot blue one, like so. And right now we are going to have something in the array. We are going to have this blue one in the array, and it's going to have index 0. So we are going to be able to change the alpha of that. But the thing is that if I would, I am going to cut this and I am going to put it in here like so. If I have an empty array, it's empty, and then I try to like change my blues 0 alpha to be 0.5. It's not defined yet. It is going to be defined after we push this. So if we are going to have this order, we are going to have an error because it's not defined. Okay, and this way what we could do is right now I can put this like so, and if I want I could either put it on the one line, so I can go like this dot blue 2, so I can push at the same time blue 1 and blue 2, or I can do it on the separated lines. That's fine. So I can just duplicate this, so my blues dot push, and we are going to push number 2, and right now I would be able to change the index 1 also, and that's going to be like so. But one more time, if I am going to try to access the number 2, which the index number 2, which doesn't exist, then we are going to get an error. We are going to change this 2, and then we are going to get an error. Hopefully this make sense. And yeah, for the moment, okay, I am going to delete this. I do not want to comment out everything because I want to provide you this file, and then it's going to be like really mess. So this is, I am going to delete this, and I am going to uncomment this like so. And I am going to also get rid of this my blues 0 alpha and my blues 1 alpha. So I'm going to get rid of this. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to create an for loop, which is going to like hide all of them. So I'm going to type for, and I'm going to type let I is going to be equal to 0, because we would like to start from the 0, and we are going to, we know that the length of this is going to be 6 because we have 6 elements. So I can type that while I is going to be smaller than 6, because the last element is going to have index 5. This is index 0, this is 1, this is 2, this is 3, this is 4, and this is 5. So while I is going to be smaller than 6, so from 0 to 5, and I will go with I++. So hopefully you know the for loop, and if not, hopefully this makes sense. And right now what I can do is I can type that my blues I dot alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, and I will go with Control Enter, and we are going to hide all of them. So yeah, but instead of 6, I am going to type my blues dot length, because we are going to be changing the length of this array like so, but it is still going to be working the same way. Now what I'm going to do is I am going to comment this out, this array like so, and I'm going to keep only this for loop. And basically what I'm going to do is, one more time, I'm going to declare the array. So I'm going to type let my blues is going to be equal to an empty array. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to type my blues dot push, and we are going to push this blue one, and then we are going to push this blue two. So I am just going to duplicate this like so. One more time, I could have this on the one line, like this blue one, comma, this blue two. But right now, I have like an empty array. We are pushing two elements to the empty array. So right now we are going to have two elements. So the length of this is going to be 2. And we are going to have a for loop, which is like from 0 to number 2. So it is going to change 0 and it is going to change 1. It's not going to include number 2 because we have this like smaller. It would include the number 2 if we have this smaller or equal. But yeah, so, but right now if I go with Control Enter, we are going to change this one which has index 0 and this one which has index 1. And now what I could do is after this for loop, I can copy this, pushing, and I can paste this. And right now I am going to put to the array also number 3, and I am going to also put number 4. So right now we are going to have in my blues 4 elements, and I am going to create one more for the loop. Okay, so I will go in here. So this for loop was like changing the alpha for these 2 elements. Then we have added another 2 elements. And right now I will go in the for loop and I will change the rotation. So I'm going to type my blues I dot the rotation is going to be, for example, 45 like so. And right now if I go with Control Enter, we are going to change the alpha only for the first 2 elements because we had only 2 elements. Then we pushed this one, and then with the for loop we are changing the rotation. And right now if I would like to, I can, for example, go ahead and push one more. So right now I am going to go my blues.push, and we are going to push number 5 like so. And right now I can go one more time after we have another element in here for loop. So right now this for loop is going to affect the 5 elements. We are not going to have the last one, but that's fine. And right now, for example, I can change the scale X like so. Scale X, when you go with 1, is going to be the same as it is. 2 is going to be the double of the scale, and 0.5 is going to be the half. So I can go with 0.5, for example, and I will go with Control Enter, and I am going to see that the first 2 are going to have the alpha, the first 4 are going to have the rotation, and first 5 are going to have this scale. Okay, the last thing that I'm going to show you, but for that I'm going to create a new document, is like a really practical way where I use push. Okay, so now I am going to, I can save this and I can provide you this. So I am going to have the code like this with this comment. So I am going to keep this as it is, and I am going to provide you this as it is. And I am going to create a new document because I do not want to mess with this one. So this is going to be like a really practical push, because for now this was like why would we do this? Okay, so right now one more time I am going to go with 500 by 500, and I want this to be HTML5 canvas. Frame rate is fine as it is, and I'm going to click create. And now what I'm going to do is, one more time, I'm going to create the shape. So I will go to the rectangle tool, I will get rid of the stroke, and I am going to choose some fill, and with the shift I am going to create the shape like so. And I am going to click on the shape, and I am going to change the width and height. I'm going to lock the proportions to be, I don't know, I can go with 100 by 100, but that's really optional. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to convert it to the symbol, so F8, and I can call this to be, for example, blue, and I want this to be movie clip. And right now the registration point is going to matter because we are going to be adding this from the library to the stage. And if I'm going to put the registration point to the center, and I'm going to do this, and I'm going to click OK. When I add it from the library, it is going to add me this in here like so. So the 0x and 0y is going to be in here. You will will understand this when I'm going to position this in the center. And I'm going to delete this from the stage. And one thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to just change the color of the stage to something which is not white, so we can see this. And I will go to the library, and in the library we have this like the name of the movie clip, blue, and we have the linkage, and this is the name by which we are going to be targeting this with the JavaScript to get it from the library to the stage. And I can call this the same way, but these names has nothing to do with this name. We are going to be targeting with this name. And now I can rename this to be code, for example. And I am going to right click, I'm going to choose actions, and I am going to type that let any variable, I can call this to be blue also, or I can call this my blue. I am going to call this to be my blue, is going to be equal to new lib, like so, lib library, and blue. That's the name that we have created. So this, like every time when you want to get something from the library to the stage with the JavaScript, you go like so, some variable, new, space, lib, dot, and then the name that you have created. And then I can go with like stage dot add child, and we are going to add child my blue. Okay, this is the name of the variable that I have created, like so. And right now, if I go with Control Enter, Command Enter, I am going to have this like so. Okay, and right now, what I could do is I can go with my blue, and I'm going to set my blue.x is going to be 250 because that's the half of the stage, and my blue y is also going to be 250, and right now it is going to be in the center. It wouldn't be in the center if I would put the registration point to the corner, because if I would put the registration point in here, this corner would be in the center, so the shape would be somewhere here. But yeah. And now what I can do is I can create a for loop to create more of these shapes. So for the moment I am going to get rid of this position, and I'm going to type for let I is going to be equal to 0, while I is going to be smaller than 5. So this means that it is going to run 5 times, 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4, and I plus plus, and basically 5 times I would like to create the variable my blue is new library blue, and 5 times I would like to add this to the stage. If I go with Control Enter or Command Enter, we are going to have 5 of them, but you cannot see that we have 5 of them because they are going to be on the same place in there, like so. And right now, if I would one more time go my blue dot x is going to be equal to 250, and the same thing for the y, like so. Right now we are going to have all of them in the center. So what I will have to do is I am going to put the y to be on the 250, like so, and the x one, what I'm going to do is I will go like this, I will duplicate this, and I'm going to say that my blue x is going to be equal to I times 120, for example. And the thing is, I will go with Control Enter to show you that right now we are going to have something like this, okay? And basically, at the beginning, I is going to be 0, so 0 times 120 is going to be 0. So the first, my blue is going to be positioned at x0. Okay, and all of them are going to have the y at 250. Then I is going to be 1 when we are going to create the other one, and then I is 1, so 1 times 120 is 120, so the next one is going to be positioned at 120. Then I is going to be 2, so we are going to have the next one, which is going to be positioned at 2 times 120, and so on. So yeah, this one is going to be positioned at number 0, because 0 times 120 is 0, and so on. I'm not going to explain this, hopefully this makes sense, but yeah. But now, if I have this so, what I could do, and this is what I do, is outside of this for loop, I'm going to create an array, empty array, so I'm going to type let my blues, for example, or my shapes or anything is going to be an empty array, like so. And then what I'm going to do in this for loop is I'm going to type that my blues dot push, and we are going to push my blue in there. Okay, so in the for loop we are 5 times going to create the instance from the library, and 5 times we are going to push it to the my blues. I can show you that if I am going to console.log my blues.length in here, before we are going to have the for loop like so, it is going to be 0. So right now I can go with Control Enter F12 and it is going to be 0. And after the for loop, it is going to be 5 because we have created this 5 times. Like so. And yeah, basically right now you are going to have an array with the elements, and basically what you could do is you can go with like for loop. So for let I is equal to 0, while I is going to be smaller than my blues.length. We already seen this, why we are going to go with the length of the array. We could go with 5, but yeah. And I'm going to go with I++, and what I could do is I can type that my blues I dot alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, for example, and I can also go then my blues I dot rotation is going to be equal to 22. And right now we are going to change all of the alphas, and we are going to change all of the rotations. And then one last thing, this has nothing to do with the push, but what you could do is you can, but this tutorial is not about this, so if this doesn't make sense, I'm sorry, but you can go like my blues I dot my blues I on, and we can go on click, for example, and we can call the function which is going to be change alpha. And then I can have the function which is going to be change alpha. I can just copy this, Control C, and I can paste it in here, Control V, parentheses, curly braces, and I can say that my blues I dot alpha is going to be equal to 0.5, and basically this means right now that every time that I click on one of them, if I click on my blues 0, it is going to call the function change alpha, and it is going to change my blues 0 alpha to be 0.5. If I click on number 1, it is going to change number 1, and so on. So I can go with Control Enter, and basically this is what we are going to have. And I could also, but I am just playing, I can also add in here that I would like to change rotation to be 45, like so. And if I go with Control Enter, it is also going to change me the rotation like this. But yeah, this is it. Basically, this is all for this tutorial. In this tutorial, I am not going to show you like how you can publish in Adobe Animate and so on. That may be for other tutorials, and I have some tutorials about this and so on. I have tutorials about how to prepare banners, also banners with the JavaScript for the Google Ads and so on. But yeah, in this tutorial, I know it was long tutorial, but I just wanted to show you like this push and other stuff. I use mostly push for this kind of projects, but yeah. So yeah. If anyone have been here until the end, you can write me that in the comments. That would mean a lot to me. And yeah, this is it. This is all. Thank you very much. I will provide you these files. And yeah, have a nice day and goodbye.